Color de Life est le réseau d'experts et de designers qui révèlent et utilisent les potentiels de la couleur dans tous les domaines.
Okay, thank you very much. Very pleased to be here and to talk about my project to you. And thank you for the opportunity to do that. I think it's a very important subject to talk about, my background is the first study I was actually attending was biotechnology with a neurobiology major, and then I switched into design and stayed here in the design. Now I'm a product designer, and I developed as my bachelor degree this color palette, and the chaotic and complicated title is specifically created for being more on the scientific side of projects. It's very important for me to actually communicate that this project is aimed for the designers and for people who are using design tools, especially. It's not for a typical consumer, it's created specifically for developers and designers. And it's more of a proof of concept than a perfectly working system right now. So keep that in mind. So what it is. This is a system, and to put it simply, it's a system that collects information from other palettes and presents them as a useful map. It's a concept that can be used by designers and aim to be an open access standard that will be used in the future by other people. How I did it. I used existing palettes provided by Organization for Colorblind Disability, some regulations that I found, and so on, like everything that I could be sure that were checked with people with color vision deficiencies. It is because I wanted to use this system as a system that could be printed and used by the color standards that are used right now in the industry. So RAL, NCS, and Pantone. I'm specifically actually used only Pantone and NCS because for right now it does not matter how many systems. It's more to prove that we can do this actually. And why? It's actually to bring nuances to the world. The problem with designing with color is that we use a lot of contrasts constantly, and some of those contrasts are visible, some are not visible by colorblind people. As Miguel showed at the beginning, you can see completely different markers and color markers, and very similar, very differently. And that's the problem. We need to bring more nuance, bring the nuances of the world toward the people. So color vision deficiency. You see there's a spectrum of visible lights. So our human eyes are radars detecting electromagnetic waves with the specific how you call it? Sorry, and it's a specific spectrum. So you have not evenly distributed cones, and those are responsible for vision in different wavelength. So as you see, our visible spectrum that we all supposed to see, it's a full colors and deuteranopia. So the most common thing, the most common color vision deficiency, see this spectrum a little bit differently. So so I developed the target group, and my target group was to actually aim for the biggest audience, and the biggest audience is actually those two, deuteranopia and protanopia, with protanomalia and deuteranomalia, so different strength of the color blindness. Trianopia is not included in this project, and it's because it actually provides a lot more problems to develop for very small group. I'm very sad that I actually needed to discard this group. I think with the development of this project, I will have opportunity to actually include them. So color in the public space. In the public space, we use color systems. We use colors that are produced and replicated by companies that are responsible for creating paints and so on. We use some codes, and those codes are creating a quasi-universal color culture. And there is some difference between representation of colors. They change according to the public lighting. They changed according to a lot of things that we are constantly in contact with. So there is importance to actually think about the color in the public space as something that is constantly working with the environment, and use those colors according to the environment that are around us. And solutions that we can find in the public right now, it's modifying existing solution that applied a new system on the existing one. So for example, like traffic lights can be different shapes. We can use something that like Miguel suggested, and those are some things that are working in a big scheme of things, and those nuances are still a little bit lost. So what I developed is that I just put those colors that I found in every checked palette that I could find. So checked with people with color vision deficiency, and put them into the spectrum. And then I was left with a norm that is not a spectrum color vision, but something else. So I actually created clusters from them. So now you see that every part of the spectrum for the anomaly have this different colors in a normal vision aspect, normal vision color. So I actually created a system that you can choose one color from each of the cluster, and then created your own palette. And thanks to that, you can actually use different colors from different cluster to create, for example, red and green palette that is visible, or at least a little bit recognizable by people with color vision deficiency. So our aim, and my aim, was mostly to actually create a situation when this nuances in public spaces will be visible. So as you see, the colors are different, and as you see on the right, the comparison from every color is a little bit different. So thanks to those clusters, we can actually create this kind of spectrum. It's not exactly the spectrum as you see, because there's a gray here or a little bit lighter here. It's based on the better representation for this part of the spectrum. So it's more recognizable here than any other part of this spectrum. So how we can use it? So on this animation, you can see there is an inclusive palette that we used, and this is like how it was seen in normal vision. But when we applied random colors and see it in dental anomaly, there is no recognizable shapes. And again, in normal vision, random color, normal vision inclusive palette actually provides us with a map that is recognizable by everyone, or at least the most people. But when we switch to the random colors, then we have it here. There is not really visible shapes and differences. So this is the problem that I think I proved that we can actually take care of. And what now? As we have this palette and we have this proof of concept, we can now develop it more. It needs more pallets to be added to the system. It needs grants to develop for development. It's a very big system that actually needs a lot of databases and checking and a lot of research. It's actually very complicated. As I wanted to go further and farther with this project, it gets really complicated. There's a lot of nuances. There's a lot of things that are very hard to actually apply by hand. And we need a lot of computer power to actually think about it. And if you go to the site that I will put into the chat in a moment, there is a booklet that actually shows this whole project and the app. And I will show you the app right now. So the app provides you can play with it, and then you can see how it works. So you can choose different colors, and for example, you can have a green palette if you want, or green blue if you want, but you can as well use a little bit of red, green, and as you see, and changing the background, you can see that the differences between colors are actually changing, and you can easily see that those right side of the color spectrum is recognizable even by you. So as well, it will be recognizable by people with deuteranopia. This is the concept, and this is how you can use it. If you scroll down, you can see the whole booklet that shows the project and show every aspect of it. There is everything. I think I even get in my bibliography, in my references, I have Miguel project as well, because I'm a little bit younger than he is, so I was developing my project after him, and I was creating in the spectrum of knowledge that this project exists. So I need to take care of nuances. So I'm very glad that I now can share with him a screen time and show you this project. I will wait for your questions, and thank you very much for listening to me.